So the report that I have is about the implications of consolidating our academic departments by a third, thus losing the work of our chairs, right? And turning our back on the department structure that has developed at this college. So from my 12 years as a City College faculty, I have a clear vision of our institution's major assets. So number one, it's our students. Our students as a collective bring to our classrooms rich experiences and perspectives and a hope for what education can offer them. And they make our work here important and fascinating, and their needs are always at the center.
I'm Dr. Vika Polaita.
And Doctor, you teach here at City College and you have some classes. What's been happening to your class in ethnic studies and the different classes you have?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago we had students enroll into my racism class and for the purpose of disrupting it. These are students that are from fringe organizations that do not believe in diversity, that do not believe that other communities, particularly communities of color, belong in spaces of education. I'm continuing to be harassed.
And what were their ideas? What did they put forward ideologically?
Well, what they were putting forward is that the basis of my teaching and debunking the science it should not be taught because there have been centuries and centuries of scholarly work by geneticists and racial scientists that proves that Jews and people of color are inferior. And geneticists and scientists from decades ago have already established the different races and that people of color should get with the program, that they should not be vying, they should not be asking for opportunities in this country or in this school, especially if they're a person of color, because the genetics shows that they are inferior intelligently, and that they should know their place. And so these students were very deliberate. They've already, they continue to harass me.
What kind of harassment?
Oh, they send me emails with articles. One constructed an essay explaining in an academic way why I should not be teaching, why these classes like ethnic studies, courses in diversity and social justice should not be taught. It's because the work that we do does not debunk the science, and that we should continue to adhere to genetic policies around the superiority of those that are considered biologically white.
And this is here at City College in San Francisco, which is a diverse city which has been fighting discrimination for decades and decades. And are you shocked about this happening?
I'm shocked, and but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because I think the first statement that the student had written to me was that diversity studies, LGBT studies, ethnic studies, studies that talk about inequality and bring to surface issues of stigma and issues of inferiority these disciplines should not exist.
So they actually have the position that your class should not be being held.
That's correct.
And you should not be teaching at it. And they've organized, apparently politically, to go into the class and fight for that position.
That is correct. And again, the belief is that they're coming from a scientific geneticist perspective, that these classes have no merit, they're fraudulent. They had attacked me saying that I'm a fraud because I'm a person of color and I should not have a PhD. I should not be a teacher because in their logic and based on the science, I do not have the intelligent capacity to be able to acquire such a degree or even be teaching a class.
And what do you think that the City College faculty, the staff, the students should do about it? Because it seems like it's an organized attack by Nazis, by racists, to basically bust up your class. It's intimidating. It happened at San Francisco State where some Nazis came to a Palestinian class. I mean, it seems like there's an organized effort to threaten and intimidate people.
Yeah, I can tell you, I think faculty and students are doing what they can. I can tell you what the Board of Trustees should not do is eliminate those departments.
So the
That's
Board of
what-
Trustees is actually trying to eliminate the department.
They are trying to consolidate our departments. And that means they would remove departments that departmental status from these programs. So definitely, that's what the Board of Trustees should not be doing. They should be able to.
That's what the racists, the Nazis would like.
That's exactly what they would like. So they're going to actually feed into us if they continue to do this. And this is why I'm here. I'm here at the Board of Trust meetings precisely because we're trying to preserve our departmental status. I know the college is in financial ruins at this point, but at a time in which we live in a political climate in which, our political sort of sphere has been able to embolden racist ideology.
You have an open president who supported Nazis. Said that they were.
Yeah, our president has allowed this. It's emboldened these communities, these students, and at a time in which we're living and going through that, our Board of Trustees should not be eliminating our programs and demoting our departmental statuses, and because I think it feeds in to that sort of that narrative.
My name is Micah Jarmel Schneider. I am a 23-year-old city kid, born and raised. I'm a student at City College, just finished my third year. Consider myself mostly a lifelong learner, and I'm here today because this administration is trying to kill the college, and as community members as a community member who has really benefited from city existing and seeing the benefits of having a college that actually has community aspects to it, that isn't removed from the world and that isn't run off of, old money. I believe in the power of this place, and I want it to exist for future generations.
Well, you say City College not for sale. Who are they selling it to?
Well, I'm not the expert, but what I understand is that there's been a movement over time for the administrators to basically make deals with real estate developers and with student loan sharks, and the companies that fund them, or the companies that sell student loans. And the reason I say this is because, number one, they've been trying to destroy the college. The earliest I know of is the accreditation crisis, which is now 6 to 7 years ago, in which they actually tried to shut down the school. And the accreditation board, like the committee, was completely corrupt.
And those were privatizers who wanted charters or wanted private universities. Do you think that's what's driving this? They want to privatize the college?
Yes, they do. I think they do want to privatize the college, and their actions suggest that. I mean, if they cared about keeping the college public, they would seek to find funding. If they cared about keeping the college public, they wouldn't cut classes that bring in funding, classes that support the community, which then create young people and elder people with more skills to have jobs to bring in more money to the community. But they're trying to kill this basically working class community in San Francisco, in a city that already doesn't give a shit about working class people, at least a city government that doesn't. And for me, City College has always been like a bastion of what San Francisco could be, and we see now that it's been receiving the same vitriolic attacks.
And the registration, there was a whole crisis about trying to get registered. What was that all about?
Yeah.
You couldn't do it? It wasn't user-friendly?
Yeah.
In technology, San Francisco?
Exactly, yeah.
The technology center.
Yeah, so we're in San Francisco, which is literally, it's the techie capital of the world, maybe Palo Alto. But there's startups all up and down Market Street. And the administration chose to roll out a new registration software, a new registration format online about 3 to 4 weeks before registration last semester in fall of 2018, and it didn't work. And a bunch of students couldn't sign up for the classes or couldn't find them online. So it does beg the question, if they really, really cared, if the administration really wanted to make it accessible to students, they would not be rolling out faulty software. It seems like an attack. And then you just see more and more evidence pile up. There's also the fact that they stopped sending out the paper catalog to every household in San Francisco. That existed until a couple of years ago. So people could know that it existed, so people were reminded. And now when the college is free, they're trying to decrease enrollment. You know,
Been cutting the staff and cutting classes?
they're cutting classes, especially in ethnic studies, especially non-credit classes. So that's our elders, our seniors, people in the city who are trying to learn English for free. That's people who are trying to understand their history so that they have a grounding. And meanwhile, we see new administrators being hired. So it's really not a funding issue.
And they're being approved by this Board of Trustees. Does any Board of Trustees member challenge the hiring of new administrators while they can't maintain the bathrooms and take care of the facilities?
It's a good point. Honestly, I don't know because they're not transparent about it, but I assume not, because they all sit here every time and listen to us say the same things. And it's clear that they don't care because they haven't taken any action against it. And I also feel like the Board of Trustees could potentially be a body that checks the power of the Chancellor, both the State Chancellor and our Chancellor here, Mark Rocha, who was brought in after receiving 2 votes of no confidence before and shutting down Pasadena City College for a whole semester. He shut down a college, and then City College Board of Trustees and other administrators said, we know who we want, that guy. So it's pretty obvious that like the fishiness here is about trying to limit the college. And then we see all these advertisements about City College being online, trying to expand online enrollment. So when they say, so they try to the administration tries to frame the class cuts as being not as bad.
You don't need teachers, classes, real classes. You just go online.
Yeah, just go online and
You can have less teachers.
it's kind of like the gig economy for school, except it doesn't work because college is a lot about the interaction. I mean, everybody who's been to school knows that it's a social setting as well, and it's a lot about social, emotional.
That costs money for them. So they look at that as a money cost.
Yeah, they do, and I mean, capitalists think in terms of profit, and that's who the administration are, and that's who the Board of Trustees is complicit with. And I would say that they're capitalists, but school is not a for-profit thing. School is about enriching who we are. It's about giving our lives opportunities. It's about connecting with our communities. School is about bettering ourselves. It's about finding your people. And this campus is a beautiful place, and it sits on a big chunk of land, and I'm sure the developers just see dollar signs here. And
lots of profit potentials here, you know.
Yeah, and we see that now with the Balboa reservoir, which I have on my sign. They're trying to develop a mostly unaffordable, and by that I mean for the majority of City College students, unaffordable housing development on what's now the lower parking lot of the school, which is used. Everybody uses it. It's usually like half to 3/4 full during a regular school day. And to me, I'm sitting here with my friends and comrades at City College and watching them try to destroy this school, and it really hurts, and it's wrong. And so that's why we're here today, because we see their capitalism and their racism and classism, trying to cut ethnic studies, trying to cut labor and community studies, you know, in a city that needs resources for working people, needs resources for people of color, for poor people of color, more than ever. And to see City College being a part of that violence is just not okay.
Blank. On the lower reservoir.
Oh, I see. Just blank. That's for the developers. Is it blank?
Turn a blind eye to it.
That's not enough parking, right? So I was going to ask you a question. Can you introduce yourself?
I'd rather not.
You're the lawyer for the board. You said or not have recordings at a board meeting. That's required under the rules. Can you talk about that? That's why you don't sell off public land. You know, because $15,000 per space is too much. They're transferring it to the developers. Also.
Well, that's the PUC.
No, that's public land.
Yeah.
That's public land. They're selling it to developers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why they don't have money for parking spaces. It costs too much.
The solution of keeping it here and building a structure is the expensive solution, rather than getting this transferred from the PUC to City College.
And who's in favor of giving it to developers?
I believe the board by silence is in favor. They didn't pass a resolution that was put on the table to ask the PUC for transfer of the land, or at least to negotiate that transfer. So I think
Avalon,
we have to hold the board responsible for not pursuing that. They have the opportunity. They're sitting in the position of having the highest interest in having this transfer.
What's your name?
Michael Adams.
And you're a planner as well.
I'm the ex-city planner as well.
So you know something about planning and development.
I know a little bit about that.
You were at the planning commission that was held to discuss this issue. There were some amazing things there that interconnect the people that can't find transit, situation, the fact that apparently the planning commission is not enforcing the law, or the director.
Exactly. Well said.
What's going on with the planning department?
Well, planning is a process of negotiating interests, and the interests that seem to be dominating are developers, big money,
Michael, how's this
politicians. Fine, thanks. How are you?
So what's
We're
going
good.
on?
Let's see, where are we? Okay, that's the parking lot. Okay, that's our parking lot.
That's the where they're going to have the development.
Parking cars right now. You know that, Steve.
Is that going to be transferred, Chancellor Rocha?
Telephone, obviously, for Dr. Paleta. So I'm just going to say that the suspect here, I'm the faculty member that he's referring to. So 2 weeks ago, I was offering her, I taught a class on racism as part of my diversity and social justice class. I've already filed a report with Vice Chancellor Correa and trusting in the process to happen. But I'm here because I want the Board of Trustees to know that if we can consolidate our ethnic studies programs, you sort of will lend this power to those students who enroll into our classes just for the purpose of disrupting our core values, what we believe in our curriculum, and also we give them the permission to attack our faculty and our students. This is not a time to consolidate, especially at a time when around the country, nationally, in our political climate, that empowers and emboldens people to enroll into our courses just for the sake of disrupting and also just for the sake of making students and professors unsafe. This is a school that has allowed me and so many other students to develop one of the strongest and probably the best Pacific Island Studies program. Just recently, I just learned that we've graduated more majors in Pacific Studies than the University of Hawaii's Pacific Studies program, which has been around since 1974. Pacific Studies has also helped to create other Pacific Studies programs around the region at Chabot College, College of San Mateo, and other universities, UCLA, UC Berkeley, University of Oregon, University of Washington, and a host of other community colleges that are looking to City College and our programs to lead and to provide support to these communities. I trust that our college will keep our students safe. I trust in the process. This is not a time, I'll say once again, Board of Trustees, Chancellor Rocha, this is not a time to consolidate our programs. Let's not give the haters that power. Please retain our departmental staff.
Thank you. Next group of speakers.
And at a previous board meeting, we requested the board for help in allowing our time of service raises with regards to the SERP. We recognize the imperative with our SEIU brethren. As of this date, we have not heard a response. Tomorrow is your 3 retiring Building and Trades Council members' last day of work, and it's very sad to know that the district does not value our combined service in almost 90 years with the same regard as our fellow employees. Thank you.
In support of what Maggie said earlier, acknowledging our financial crisis. A little background. Labor and Community Studies was founded in 1973 as a collaboration between the college and the area labor movement in solidarity with the social movements of the 1960s, particularly the Black freedom struggle. Our mission then as now was to educate working people on their rights and how to organize to realize them. Among our founders were author Tilly Olson's husband, the labor activist Jack Olson, and Dave Jenkins, a labor leader of the Longshore Workers Union, the ILWU. Both men were leaders of the California Labor School, an exciting working people's college of the 1940s and 50s that was eventually forced by the federal government to close during the McCarthy era. These men hung on for decades, and after the rebellions of the 60s cleared away the last vestiges of McCarthyism, founded the Labor and Community Studies Department. Jack was our first chair. It is ironic, therefore, that we look at their victory over right-wing, anti-union attackers on higher education, just as the administration threatens to downsize our diversity departments out of existence, really, without real funding to support our work. So on behalf of our board, the Labor Council, and the Regional Labor Movement, we invite you instead to join us in seeking greater funding. We ask you do not defund LGBT studies during Pride Week, nor African American studies on the night we honor their former chair, Sister Dawn Salahuddin. Please join us as we say more funding, not fewer departments.
Consultation. It came through certified mail. And so you ask yourself, what is it about this work that we do that is so critical to the mission of the college, especially at this point in time? You know, over my 15 years, I have served many, many students, and also with AFT 2121, I did the media work through the entire accreditation crisis. We had to change the narrative from that of a failing college to a college that deserves to live because we are vital to this community, to all the people who are here. And so in that role, we who have this expertise and who have this institutional knowledge and the love of our students in our college have a reason to be here. And so I'm asking why, you know, after I specifically went through the hiring process for this federally funded TRIO program last year, after I left for half a year thinking the Stanford Education Center would be a new thing. I came back because I realized the real work was not in this high and mighty research, it was on the ground with students. And I have found passion, I have renewed that passion, and yet I'm asking, why am I and other categorically funded counselors being cut when we are vital to the new funding formula and the way that we get money for this college from academic degrees, from transfer, and all of the above. So I ask you to reconsider these decisions and to take a look.
Thank you.
Monica Collins, former electrician, City College retiree. I worked here for a quarter century. Today is Emma Goldman's 150th birthday. A notorious and wonderful anarchist and a remarkable patriot. We are here to support an agenda that's student-based, that is not about money for developers, and it's not about corrupt politicians.
You think there are corrupt politicians and developers running City College?
Not as directly as the city itself, but I do think that. And follow the money. People are motivated by money. In some ways, we're as corrupt as a Mexican cartel, or the Mexican government purchased by the plazas, who are the cartels of Mexico.
Well, there was a bond measure passed twice to build this performing arts education center. What has happened to that money, and why hasn't it been built? They want another $800 million for another bond?
The money has been siphoned off, and
is that legal?
As far as I know, it is not legal. There's no candor, there's no openness, there's no, sunlight is the best disinfectant, and we're mushrooms. They keep us in the dark and feed us BS, So the Chancellor appears to be maybe another corporate stooge. We have Orwellian abuses of language. Affordable housing means $4,000 for a one-bedroom. Affordable income means $140,000 a year for a single person. And transit rich means screw you.
This is Scott Wiener and these politicians in San Francisco, London Breed, who want to build condos, $1 million condos as a way of dealing with the housing crisis?
Scott Wiener resurrected the dead Senate Bill 50 as a rider to another bill and is sneaking it in. And he snookered a lot of progressives like my brother, who interestingly does not live in San Francisco, but Pacifica, where you drive. It's the only way to get around, basically. And he's complaining about that too. He's advocating for pedestrians and bikes. But Scott Wiener, you know, he's a smart man and he's very convincing. I've been introduced to him. Well, my brother is politically astute. He's a lobbyist from Sacramento for the California Teachers Association, and he knows everyone. He knows good old Nancy Pelosi. He knows all of them. Scott Wiener won him over, but I gave him the 411 last night. I'm hoping, you know, this is baloney. This is not populist.
Well, they want to build 1,100 condos at the reservoir, more 1,500. There's no plans for real transit. I mean, there's a transit grid.
It's a one-lane street, and it's a cluster now, 6 days a week during school term. I mean, do they know there's a firehouse just around the corner on Ocean? They're really asking for it. Also, no one will tell you this but me. There's a tiny Safeway, thumbnail size, that's always crowded on Monterey, less than a kilometer away. And then there's a Whole Foods that's expensive, also always crowded. There's limited parking, which sounds good. That just means you'll have hot and cold running Uber and Amazon deliveries day and night.
And the students, a lot of students who go to City College need cars for their transportation. They work part-time to go to school.
I worked at financial aid for about 13 years, and it was not unusual for me to meet single parents, often working class people of color. Many of them had been desperately poor, some had been homeless, some came from shelters and had been abused and were survivors. So you have, say, a Latina mother, 33 years old, and she has a 7-year-old in grade school and a 3-year-old in preschool, 2 jobs, and she's in City College for either vocation or academic pursuit. Everywhere I go in San Francisco, I run into people like her. They don't know my name. They say, "Thank you, City College, City College." And I said, "Tell me, I was a poor mother on welfare, and I'm a happy taxpayer contributing to society now. Education pays for itself ninefold."
Well, why does there seem to be a budget crisis here? It seems like there's a $30 million shortage, and yet a lot of the funding is still coming in. Where's the money going?
I do think it's being siphoned off, not always for bad ends, but if it is for good ends, surely they would tell us about them. What is there to be ashamed of? I made up a saying, if I do say so, it's ridiculous and yet apt. I want to go on the City College diet to lose 5 pounds. I'm cutting off my arm. This is City College's idea of budgeting and foresight, that, you know, they will be heavy with management. And
they're hiring more administrators. In fact, the Chancellor Rocha said he wanted to hire an administrator for the earthquake protection. There's going to be an earthquake, and he wanted to prepare for that.
Yeah, where's that money going to go? I mean, you know, you have someone who will be sitting in meetings all day long like they do now. They just sit on their spreading butts.
And the bathrooms have safety problems. There are many health and safety problems.
This is terrible. Someone vandalized the ladies' room in the arts department, which had been made into unisex. And I freely admit that when people see certain, you know, urinals...
There may be Nazis or racists here.
Yeah, that may be possible. It may be possible, but so you walk into a bathroom and you see a urinal and you're a woman and you're confused. What if a man wants to use it? You don't know what to do. I'm not against unisex bathrooms, but a little privacy is nice. Now, someone vandalized the bathroom and it was out of commission all semester. But wait, there was another one a few doors down, and that one is closed all semester. So if I want to go to my Mexican history class with Mr. Piper, I go to another building, stand in line where there's 5 women and 2 stalls.
But they're hiring consultants. They seem to have a lot of money for consultants and coming here talking about the privatization, the development of the condos on the reservoir.
When I'm reincarnated, I want to come back as a consultant. I mean, it just sounds like easy money. What, meetings all the time? I go to these Board of Trustees meetings, and some of them are good people, I know. Most of them love to hear themselves talk and to congratulate themselves and congratulate each other and to give lip service to poor black and brown students somewhere across town. This is condescending. I have no doubt that they mean well, and I have no doubt that this is just hot air. You know, and anyone who says black and brown students can have ready vocational careers, excuse me right there, stop right away. In my personal opinion, a wonderful step one for racially based reparations is free state college for everyone who can do the work. And if that is
With all these billionaires in California, why don't you think we have that? Right here in San Francisco, you have the largest billionaires of any city in the world, and yet we don't seem to have money for city college?
my daughter's best friend for 25 years since they were little kids was a young girl whose mom came from Venezuela before the Troubles. She got out in time. Well, they used to go to Venezuela, and you know, they can't anymore. The little girl grew up and went to law school, and her clientele is these same gazillionaires, you know, the Mark Benioffs and the Zuckerbergs, who so generously put his name on the hospital I used to work at. I had to remove San Francisco General from my resume because Facebook kept changing it to Zuckerberg. I never worked at Zuckerberg Hospital. That was years ago.
So these trustees here, they say that they're for the college, but they've apparently been going along with the development with the reservoir privatization of the land. Why do you think they're supporting privatization of the land of the city PUC?
Collegiality, which used to mean professional courtesy, has come to mean go along to get along. And if there's power and money to be gained by it, hop aboard. It's no secret that this is the springboard to Board of Supervisors and political power. Hi, Mr. Mandelman, how are you? Mr. Mandelman and one other, by the way, were, he's an attorney. I'm sure he's a very smart man. He may be a nice man, I don't know. I do know I have a friend who's working class, as I have been all my life, and he's a very smart man. And I heard Mr. Mandelman making fun of him. These are elitists, in my opinion. They're class-based snobs. Why? You know.
And some of these Board of Trustees actually work for the same supervisors?
Yes, two of them do. Ms. Ivy Lee, and I think one other.
The chair of the Board of Trustees, isn't he working for Mandelman?
I think that's true, yes. I don't know really too much about it. It sounds really fishy and odd. And also, I would just like to say that the chair of the music department, goes way back, she's a septuagenarian, and she has documents going back to the 60s and all over the country, that Lumina, a for-profit student loan group, which is famous for its ruinous compound interest, as in ruining students' lives. There's a reason millennials aren't starting families. They can't afford to, and that's a really big reason right there. These are people of reproductive age who can't have kids because they can't afford it. They can't afford the daycare. They can't afford the $4,000 one-bedroom apartments.
We've got to supply more money to the billionaires, I guess.
You know, people have actually commented online that the whole anti-abortion thing is to coerce more women into giving money to the war machine, which sounds, it sounds like Decemberist propaganda. But when you think about it, capitalism needs serfs. It's not a coincidence that the minimum wage is stuck at $7.25 an hour for a decade. If it's a go-go economy, why is that? And why are so-called tipped employees making $2.13 an hour when some don't even get tipped, yet they have to pay taxes on the tips they may not even get? Japanese don't tip, they don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Putting money in the wrong places. And I spent 23 years as the director of affirmative action, equal opportunity and diversity at the University of California, San Francisco. Been in lawsuits, and been a federal expert in federal lawsuits. And I've taught people how to fight back. I'm going to lend every ounce of my energy to this wonderful person to fight what has happened to her. Is not right, is not fair, and if we have to hit the headlines with it, everybody out here has celebrated your diversity when you took over the president's and the vice president role, what did we celebrate? We got 2 gay men, millennials, remember? We celebrated that. We took pictures up here of diversity being awarded and recognized. That wasn't what I put down on my card, as you know, to speak about, but this is important. We celebrate diversity, we put up all gender restroom signs, and we protect the signs. We can't even protect the plumbing. We can't even fix the toilets. I just left the men's room, another broken toilet. Every building on this campus has broken toilets, but we have these beautiful signs. All gender broken toilets. When you cut class schedules, I don't care if it's music, architecture, you're cutting diversity. It isn't that all LGBT students just go to diversity classes. They go to music classes. I go to music. We go to all different kinds of classes. And when you cut a class, you go to my music class. And you'll see every generation, for 3 generations, you'll see every racial group, every ethnic group.
Thank you.
And we all participate together. This model over here cost us $85,000, if I get it right. This little model here. You could have had the architecture students do this as a student project.
Thank you, Michael.
No, I'm going to finish.
Your 2 minutes are up, I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter.
Next speaker.
We presented the Chancellor a shovel, a $400 beautiful gift out of trust to start the pay. So we'll bring you a plumber's plunger to the next meeting. See if you can fix the plumbing.
Thank you.
Board of Trustees, Chancellor, Vice Chancellors. At approximately 11 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time, we will mark the beginning of the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion in New York City. But I want to honor my ancestors from that night, Miss Major Griffin Gracie, who is still with us, 78-year-old African-American trans woman still fighting for the rights, particularly of incarcerated trans people, and the memory of African-American trans woman Marsha P. Johnson and her life partner and soulmate, Puerto Rican and Venezuelan trans woman Sylvia Rivera. I wouldn't be here as the department chair of LGBT studies had it not been for them and their legacy. We are the first freestanding LGBT studies department in the United States, the second in the world. I have worked for years on articulation agreements with colleges all over the U.S., all over the state of California. They come to us. We are the model. I'm passing around something so you see at the Oakland Museum. This was sent to me by a student.
Saying that I attend CCSF with all the wonderful programs, classes, people, and centers that it has to offer. I may as well liken my experience to the colors of the rainbow, given the diversity and unlimited possibilities that this college offers to students. Just like the rainbow, it has given many of us hope, the joy after the rain. And speaking of the things that I take pride here in CCSF, I am especially proud and invested in our Philippine Studies department. With an amazing department chair, a number of enrichment classes, and students who are either eager to learn more about their cultural identity or are interested to know more about a different culture in general, this department proves to be vital. It is an integral part of not only this college, but of the city overall, or even more so the whole nation. This is one of the few Phil Studies programs out there, and the first of its kind. Thus, consolidation and taking away the department's autonomy may be detrimental. Struggling, although still standing strong, the CCSF Philippine Studies Department will be celebrating our 50th anniversary next year. Now, I just have a couple of things to ask. Would you grant San Francisco the opportunity to celebrate an important part of its history next year by keeping the Phil Studies Department not only for the year of 2020, but for many years to come? Second, is the issue regarding budgets is also being looked at in different angles. Because from being here in this school for about 2 years, most of the people that I've come across have agreed that CCSF can also do a lot better when it comes to communication and outreach. Maybe that's what will help enrollment, giving our departments and classes the visibility it deserves in order for people to know about them. I've sat in a Phil history class before, and I can
University, I want you to think about the hypocrisy if our department were to go away and be consolidated elsewhere. I want you to think about that, and more than that, I'm not the one who's going to go out to our larger community and tell them it happened on my watch. I can't do that.
The comments that were made at last month's meeting by certain trustees in the discussion about the Free City Memorandum of Understanding, certain trustees expressed opposition to a provision in that document that would have expanded Free City to employees in the city and county of San Francisco. Part of the justification for that opposition, from what I understood from the comments, was that, excuse me, was that employees of city and county have a lot of good benefits, such as pensions and healthcare and such. I just wanted to remind the trustees that made those comments that those benefits are achieved through union representation. And while I understand and support the underlying idea that Free City should be expanded to everyone who works in San Francisco, not just if they're employed by city and county, it's important, especially in a post-Janus United States of America, to make those points without using rhetoric that pits organized labor against our brothers and sisters who are not fortunate enough to be unionized in the workplaces. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tomasita Medal, and native San Franciscan, lifelong San Franciscan. Attended here many years, received all of his benefits, and that's why I'm here. Trustees, do your job. You were elected for pretending or professing to be progressive and allowing the destruction of City College. You are enabling the destruction of City College. You're not doing the jobs, and you're not living up to the promises that you made to the people of San Francisco when you presented yourself as progressives. So stop enabling the Chancellor to destroy our college. His agenda is to take us down to where we're an online college, and there's no need for the properties, so that all the land can be given to developers for-profit development. You're committing the crime of selling out the people of San Francisco and betraying future generations from the opportunities that those of us who have benefited from this college have received. Shame on you. Please, stop it. Get your honor back up. Have your integrity back up. Do what you were elected to do. Defend the interests of the people of San Francisco and not of the developers. There's no excuse for any of the cutting of classes. You're hearing about waiting lists. If the Chancellor had done his job and fulfilled his promise, there would be, he would have done the fundraising that he said he would do, and the PAC would have already been built. If you do not include the PAC specifically in the bond measure, believe it, we will let the community know what you have done to our college, how you have destroyed our college, and how come there's $10 million missing from the PAC fund? How come there's highly paid administrators and consultants? Why is there slashing of popular classes in theater arts, ethnic studies, music and mechanics, and everything else? Why was there no distribution of the class schedules that there was for my whole life? They distributed the class schedule to every household in San Francisco, but now they were found stashed in the admissions office. Last week, one of our friends went